and welcome to the Canon Fodder Podcast, the podcast where we discuss all things cinema, movie, and canon related. You're joined as always by me, Fodder Phil, and my super sexy co-host, as he introduced me last week, Fodder Tom. Say hello, Tom.
Hello, I did introduce you that way, but it actually wasn't last week. That was last year, believe it or not.
Oh my year, you're right. On my days, you are right.
Happy New Year, Fodder Phil.
Happy New Year, Fodder Tom. So this week we're deep diving into the final installment, Tom, as it is penciled in, of the Indiana Jones franchise, which I'll be honest with you, I'm super excited about. It's been an absolute journey over these past 5 episodes to get where we are. I don't know how you're feeling about it.
This film, I was giddy to watch it because, and I was a bit bittersweet as well because it was coming to an end. But I think this film has got something. Just want to as well point out that we have been offline for a couple of weeks for Christmas. But we're back at it. We're back to the grindstone. But as you might be aware, we have families. We have other shit going on. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, before we get into the cinema side of things, we like to start every episode with a little catch up. Because as Tom's said on many occasions, we are close friends, not best friends, just close friends. We like to start every episode with the segment "What's Canon On," where we delve into a little bit of each other's lives and let's do a little catch up, really, as close friends do. Tom, I would say. So Tom, I'll let you start this week. What's Canon On with you?
Alright, so I was enjoying the Christmas period playing a little game called Marvel Rivals. Have you heard of Marvel Rivals?
I have. I am not on the new gen or current gen or whatever the gen is these days, but I've seen plenty clips. I've seen your great clips on the Tickety Talk
Oh,
and
so
the YouTube
did
as well.
you watch the episode I put out by chance?
I mean, I'm gonna say yes,
Okay,
just to stroke your ego, but I have seen your clips anywho.
that's fine. Thanks for watching the clips. So
Yeah, you're welcome.
I've got a clip loaded in the chamber today, which I will play on the top of this video. So if you're listening to this in the audio version, go over to YouTube. You can watch the video version. But yeah, I'm gonna play this little clip for you, Phil, and I want you to tell me if you spot anything. So as you can see, I'm playing as the magnificent Doctor Strange, and I get killed. I'd like you to take note of the person who kills me. What does his name say in the bottom corner here?
Oh my days.
So, I have a fucking rant here because I'm like, I notice his name and I go, hold on, what the fuck's going on here? Is Phil on an alt account and he's fucking actually really rich and he's just fucking came in this match and killed us? What the fuck's going on? So, I was perplexed by this to the point that I sent this person a message and I went, who the fuck's this? And I did not get a response, so I can only assume that your Christmas present to me was coming on Marvel Rivals, finding us under the name of Super Fodder T, by the way, and fucking killing us as Doctor Strange. Because I went to find the guy after and I could not find them anywhere. So, what the fuck's going on?
I think it's Marvel, so maybe you were sort of in a multiverse sort of situation here, where you fought your own version of yourself from a different dimension, who was also female potentially, judging by the character.
Potentially, but what I want to point out, right, and this has got multiple fucking layers. So, Canon spelled not the way we spell Canon, so I was like, okay, bit of mystery there. Fodder, fair enough, that thing can only really spell it one way. The number's 07. Do you remember what we were going to originally call this podcast? Well, one of the things I was going to call this podcast.
No, what?
It was 0707 because it looks like men saluting.
I mean, it's like, for the record, thank fuck we didn't go with that, because that was a shit idea.
Shit name.
That was a shit idea.
Shit name, but you might be onto something. This could be me from an alternative reality, killing myself, saying you just need to stop recording. Like, turn the fucking videos off. Like, just don't.
It's a canon event. You killed yourself. Yeah.
It's a canon event. Yeah, exactly.
Canon event.
Such a mystery. I was perplexed by this, and the fact that they didn't respond to us. I mean, right? Okay, maybe I sent 3 messages, and the third message was quite abusive.
Yeah.
But they didn't come back to us. So, if you're out there, Canon Fodder 07, get in touch. I'd love to know who you are. And Phil, if it's you, like, well played. Yeah. It's probably not you because I think it's too clever to be you, but well played.
It's a clever move. Yeah, it doesn't sound like something I would do.
So yeah, that's my What's Canon On for this week. Short and sweet, but like I said, Bit crazy, bit of a weird coincidence. So with that, why don't you tell me what's been Canon on with you, Phil?
Well, I'm gonna fire at you, Tom. I fire at you a two-parter here. But I'd give you a little side quest that I've went on, and then open the floor to you as well with it. All right. As you know, and I think I've mentioned before on the podcast, I love a bargain. I'm an absolute sucker for a discount sticker, and I'll buy stuff that I don't even want. Anyway, I'm always looking out for these bargains. I'm always straight there at a discount, and I think I've got many good discounts. This discount story, Tom, I've had better, I must say. So a couple of weeks ago, obviously they were selling off all the Halloween sweets, all right, and they were selling off like brains and zombie stuff and all this random stuff. And I noticed they were selling off spider. They were called spider strings or spider webs, and they were basically just jelly ropes, all right. And they were
Right, okay.
blackcurrant flavored. Yeah, you with me so far?
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. So in my household, I like the sweets, I like the jellies. We're not a big fan of the blackcurrant though. I got them out. Kids tried a couple of them. As I suspected, they weren't a fan. Nobody else liked them. I thought they were okay, but I was too stubborn in my discount mentality to not eat them. So I ended up eating like a full pack myself one night. All right. And they were still in date and stuff, even though, to be honest with you, if that were date, I probably would have ate them anyway. Not a big deal.
Yep.
But munching away on them, ended up like quite enjoying myself. All things good. All right. Right. So do you remember what flavour I told you they were?
Well, blackcurrant, right?
Blackcurrant. Yeah. A bit of an odd flavour, I think. Not like an odd flavour in general, but like for laces, it's a bit more random.
Yeah, I guess for laces, yeah, I'm behind you on that. I'm with you there.
Yeah. So next day, right, when I tell you I had the blackest shit I have ever had in my entire life, I couldn't believe it, Tom. It was like I was giving birth to the Antichrist out of my ass. And I was like, at first I was a bit alarmed. I was like, holy shit, like what's going on here? Like a black hole is spawning in my anus. So like, what is happening? I was a bit panicked. And then I was like, oh wait there, I just ate like, 500 grams of blackcurrant jellies last night, which I've put down to the reason why. And I'm not going to look any further medically into this.
Why would you?
Because yeah, well, I'm a man. I don't do that. But yeah, it was what an interesting little tidbit that was for me. Yeah, so that is part one of my little story. All right. So this bit is part two of my story, Tom.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
But it just got us thinking about like sweets in general and different sweets I've had in the past. And in particular, over Christmas, I've had my body weight in Maltesers. Maltesers are absolutely my like Achilles heel. Love a Malteser. I used to always get a box at Christmas from various relatives. And I saw a discontinued one, all right? And then I'm going to give you a second one after that. Do you remember when Maltesers sold a fucking bucket of Maltesers? Like a big red bucket?
Vaguely.
Well, I saw that pop up on my feed like the other day and I was like, oh my God, like I'd need a bucket. And I need 7 of them, to be honest, because I would have just sat there all night eating these buckets. Banging little sweet is a Malteser, or a banging little chocolate, I must say. So like here's the last bit, all right, and then I'm gonna open the floor to you, Tom. But one other little discontinued sweet that you might not know about, which you definitely won't know, that I enjoyed as a kid because this predates our friendship. Actually, this is how old this sweet is. Was the mint version of Skittles, Skittle mints. Do you remember them?
You lying? They don't exist.
Well, they don't anymore. You're right.
Skittles. It defeats the point of Skittles, isn't it?
Let me tell you. Well, first of all, right, they came in a box, right? To blow your mind, they didn't even come in a bag, in a packet. They came in a box. It was bright blue, and there were like 5 or 6 different flavors of mint, and they were all blue as well. They were all different shades of blue. But yes, mint Skittles, and I used to love them. And there was a particular one, God knows which one it was, but I would always like savor them ones the most when I was eating me little box of Skittles, which sounds wrong when I say it as well because the Skittles don't come in a box; they come in a packet. But they're also
You
not
can get them
mint
in a
flavored.
box. You can get them in a box. Oh no, I'm thinking Maltesers. I've gone back to
You think
Maltesers.
Maltese? You go
Yeah,
Yeah,
fucking hell.
Maltesers take over the world, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just wanting to ask you. Anyway, that's the Skittles mint. Fucking banging. I hope they still exist in some country because I will go there or I'll order them in on my expense and bill it to the podcast. But I hope they exist somewhere. I'd love to see them again. But I just wanted to open the floor to you, and obviously you haven't prepared anything in advance for this, so sorry if I caught you off guard.
You have.
But is there any little discontinued sweet or childhood sweet that you remember that you used to crave and go crazy for that you haven't had in a while, or even maybe doesn't exist anymore?
I did like the Dream Bars. You know, the white chocolate little boys. Do you remember them?
I do. Yeah.
I did like them. I really have to think about it, but there'll definitely be some which I'm like, no, I can't remember. I feel like there was a lot more flavors of Whisper. I feel like Whisper have kind of gone to fucking Whisper and Whisper Gold. I feel like they had like every flavor under the sun and they just like packed it in.
Yeah, I feel like Whisper Whisper died down to nothing and then just had a resurgence like a few years ago, and it was like, yeah, Whispers are coming back.
I'm sure there was like Whisper Wafer and there was like Whisper fucking Cherry and stuff. Like there was some crazy flavors, and now it's like, is there a Whisper Mint? I don't even think there is a Whisper Mint anymore. My thing that I search for like every couple of months, hoping that it'll happen one day, and it's not really a sweet, it's a bar snack. It's mini cheddar Branson pickle, and it's a green packet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking salivating thinking about them. And like you went down south, meet some family, and they had them behind the bar, and I was like, fucking mint. I bought a box, right? But this is when they were like alive and kicking, so I went through the box like fucking no tomorrow, and then they just discontinued them, and then they've brought out mini cheddars jalapenos, which is the same color packet, so you can imagine my fucking surprise
Yeah.
when I saw the packet. I was like, oh my fucking god, they're back. Like, they've heard my cries, they've seen my emails, but nah, it's fucking jalapeno flavor. So that is the one thing. Like, if I had to kill 100 babies to bring this back, I'm doing it. No, I love this question because like I think it's those type of questions that everyone's got their own thing. You know what I mean? Like there'll be something like you said, fucking Skittles mint. No thanks.
That was nice. That was a nice little Canon On, I thought.
That was a good one.
So should we talk about this week's episode, Tom? This week's movie of choice?
I believe we should.
Yeah, so we're going to go through Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. As we've said, it is the final installment of the franchise. Tom, would you like to go through the IMDb?
Yeah, so a bit like last week, so the last episode, the IMDb I think is even shorter than the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I'll give it a go. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history.
Short and sweet, isn't it?
That's fucking so short. Right, so I'll do the usual sort of facts on this film just to give everyone a bit of a basic history. So Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny released in 2023, so it was 2 years ago now. Hey, this film is 2 hours and 37 minutes long, which is about 30 minutes longer than the previous longest one, which was The Last Crusade. The director is James Mangold. So we have moved away from Steven Spielberg. Do you know any films that James Mangold did?
I didn't even realise that it changed director, to be honest.
Fuck my
However,
life.
I didn't even pick up on that in the credits at the start. Picked up on a lot of things, but not that.
Okay. So James Mangold directed Logan, the X-Men movie.
Okay.
And he directed Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie. Some big films there, some big hitters.
Yeah, some solids, yeah.
So I can probably see why he was chosen for the job. Do you think this film got an Oscar nomination?
I would doubt it.
It fucking did.
It didn't win though, just a nomination.
No, it didn't win. It got no nomination for the best original music. That is
God,
bullshit.
fucking hell.
What fucking shit is that? Like, they just get John Williams up on stage and go, oh, we'll nominate you, John. Don't worry about it.
It's just an instant guarantee nomination, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
and
I'm sure we'll talk about the music as well throughout this, but what a stretch that is as well.
Interesting. And then I'll just talk a bit about the cast. So the cast for this, we have... I'm going to go through the billing. So we have Harrison Ford. We have Phoebe Waller-Bridge. we have Antonio Banderas, we have Karen Allen, we have John Rhys Davies. Fucking hell, Mads Mikkelsen's not even at this point. He's like fucking miles down.
Yeah.
Toby Jones and then Mads Mikkelsen, but there's like people between all of them, which is crazy. So yeah, that is the little segment of kind of capturing the film in it. IMDb. So Phil, do you want to talk us through the first scene? What happens?
So, if you're new to the podcast, you're going to hear the disappointment in my voice, but please feel free to listen to any other episode about Indiana Jones and hear the excitement as I go through the opening scene, which has quite consistently, Tom, had the Paramount logo displayed, which then fades off into a graphic match of the movie. It turns into an actual literal mountain in the background. It turns into a sort of gong with a mountain sort of etched into it. It also turns into a gopher hill, but we're not talking about that because that was fucking shit. But in this movie, I didn't see a graphic match. I did not see an opening with a graphic match.
I played it 3 times because I wasn't quite sure if they were trying to imply that the LucasArts was graphic matching over the fucking lock thing. Because I was like, it kind of like works together, but I've put like, no, there is no graphic match. I don't know if that was the idea and it was just poorly executed, or no, they just thought, fuck it, like this is my film, like I'm doing something different.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but going in open-minded with the movie, obviously, but it did give us a little bit of disappointment straight away. That I was, but like, let's be honest, this movie, I've just done the maths. 42 years between the first movie and this movie, long time. So I think you need to be playing on that nostalgia element. You need to be having that,
Yeah,
that little bit of like that. We're here for a reason. And to break that sort of continuity, to break that sort of Easter egg, if you like, in the first 5 seconds of the movie, it didn't sit very well with me. I was a little bit disappointed from the off.
yeah, me too. And like when we've watched these films, I never like before we did this podcast, I never really thought about that graphic match. Like now that we're watching it, and like even if we weren't doing it for the podcast, I'd be like, oh, that was a pretty good shot. Like that was well done.
Yeah.
And if I'd watched them all like back to back, I'd be like, oh, they've kept that going. That's really cool.
Obviously, plenty of movies do graphic matches, but I can't think of very many that do it consistently, and certainly none as such a big franchise and with that many movies and that consistency over that many decades to kind of keep it going as well. I thought it was quite a nice thing to do. But obviously maybe that's a Spielberg thing. Maybe
Yeah,
he's
maybe.
kind of took that with him.
Maybe it was.
Saying you can have my movie, but you can't have my graphic match. Fuck you. But conversely, though, Tom, just to get us back on topic, even though we have that sort of break in repetition, we do go straight to familiar elements, which is what we don't see in the previous movie, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. We're straight back to Nazis.
Yep.
We're straight back to Christianity.
Yep.
As well, with those religious elements as well. So even though it kind of does break it straight away, it also kind of brings us straight back into the throw of it, and we're like, no, like Nazis bad. Indiana Jones versus Nazis, all good. And also like
Yeah.
it's Christianity. We've got the Indiana Jones being the typical young hero. So it's kind of like it knows what it's trying to do, but it's also took a little bit of a sidestep to its original source material. What did you think of the opening?
Yeah, I mean, I quite enjoyed the opening. Like, I think it was playing on those familiar beats. The I can't remember what the staff's called, but the thing that they used to stab Jesus on the cross. Like when that happened, I was like, oh fuck! I really hope this isn't the thing, like the MacGuffin, because like Constantine's done it, and I'm just gonna be wanting to watch Constantine if that's gonna be the crack. So I'm glad we did move away from that. I'm glad that they didn't just stick with something that had already been done in a potentially like film that resonated with me a lot more. I've put the word back to Nazis. We're doing a flashback again, so it's almost Last Crusade-esque. I thought it was spot on. At this point, I was like, yeah, like I'm having fun.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, it captured us a lot more, and we've talked about it a little bit already, but we'll sort of dive into it now, where it does have the sort of deep fake face going on with Indy. I actually thought it was done pretty well. It still looks pretty
So
CGI.
at first I was like, fucking hell, I've done it.
Yeah.
And then he gets he's hanging from the rope, and I went, "Oh no,
Yeah.
they've fucked it. They've absolutely fucked it." And like when he was wearing the helmet, it looked weird. Like
Yeah,
there was
yeah, it
certain
did.
bits where I was like, "Oh, like you need to have this man in complete darkness with no clothes on, because otherwise it doesn't work." Like it's having like real life things interacting with things that aren't there. And you can't
Unreal,
do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Um.
If as long as the audience is all has their eyes closed, it will look totally fine, basically.
Yeah, 100%. And I said, like, the CGI looks worse the more you look at it. And I think the only film that's done it well, like, really well, like, there's films that done it well. Like, I think Star Wars has done it consecutively well, like, with Tarkin and de-aging Luke Skywalker in the Mando series. But they're like really short scenes. For a film that I think's done it well, that came out last year, was Alien Romulus. I think the way they did it with Ash was clever because they had him on a screen that was quite fuzzy and almost like distorted, so it was hard to like really pick that apart.
Yeah. That's that. I mean, we've talked about this before, but yeah, that the fact that that is on screen, I think, and it's a fucking aliens or alien homage where all the tech was old and shit and blurry,
They've
made
worked it
made
to
that work.
themselves. Yeah, they made it
Yeah,
work it to the film's aesthetic, which I think was really good. And like I
yeah,
remember when we first saw Ash, like in that film, or I think he's called Rook. I remember thinking, "Oh, that's a bit weird," and then like my eyes settled to it. Whereas with this, I could see they were trying different things. Like, oh, this is making it feel worse. Like,
yeah.
it was a bit weird.
Now that you mention it, yeah, when he had that helmet on, I remember thinking it at the time. His head just didn't look like the right size for his body. I mean, as humans, we're like genetically programmed, we're evolved to see faces. Like that's what we do.
Yeah,
So
it's
when they don't look quite right, they don't look right, and
no.
nothing you can do can really fix that. And it does fuck it up. But as we'll go through, I think what the film does really well, even though there's a few sort of flashbacky scenes, they're all quite short and defined. And if the whole movie was set in Nazi times with a young Indy, I don't think I would have been able to even sit through it. I think I would have been
See,
like,
I think me and you are going to differ here then because I felt that this film played that hand really early. And then because you never see it again, like after this is all done and we'll go to old Indy, you never see young Indy again. And I was like, oh, like you guys have marketed this film to make us think there was going to be time traveling. And I was quite disappointed because I was like, look, commit to it. Like fucking commit to it. Make it be the thing I've got to watch. And if that's the case, like my eyes will get used to it. I will just sort of like stop grumbling about it. And I think when you do the less is more thing, I don't think it works in CGI. I think once you do it less, you pick apart that individual bits. You've got less sort of time with it to expose yourself to it, and you just pick it apart more. I wanted more young Indy. Like I was like, fuck it, just commit to it. I think with this one, like overall, like at this point I am in.
yeah,
There was disguises, like they're fucking playing on all the tropes. Happy with that. Like we're doing things. I think he dresses up as a Nazi at one point. Class.
classic. Yeah.
Classic Indy.
One criticism that I had, which is probably just my logic. But you mentioned earlier where he's hanging up from the sort of gargoyle inside the Nazi tower.
Yeah.
And they drop a bomb, and the bomb lands in front of all of them, which fucking amazing for Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Again, like saw that like totally invested with that. I'm all good. I don't expect that bomb to explode. That's hilarious. But the bomb then falls through the ground. Yeah, falls through the floor,
Yep.
and it takes with it the carpet as it's going through.
Yeah.
Where the fuck does that carpet go? Because then the camera pans in and there ain't no carpet anymore. Did the carpet just blow away? Because to me, that bomb's going to be like wrapped in a carpet
Yeah,
the
it'll be
whole
like
fucking way
gravity will
down.
take it. Like that's how it
Yeah.
works. I didn't notice that. Like you fucking caught something on your own there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I was more just like, oh, that's pretty cool. The carpet's falling through, and then I was like, 2 seconds later, I was like, where's that carpet? Like that was a nice
Was
shag rug.
yeah.
Where's it went?
Hitler want that back in his fucking
Yeah,
collection.
yeah,
What he's
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
Exactly.
So we got on a train?
Yep. Another train scene, which has been in a few of the Indiana Joneses.
Yeah, and we're going through the treasure trove. We meet Toby Jones's character, which I believe is called Basil. What did you think of Toby Jones?
Yeah, good. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this on other episodes, but going back to the classic Indiana Jones, who's going to be our bumbling sidekick in this movie? Who's going to be our comic relief? Yeah, I was all in for that. I thought he was perfect. He is the sidekick.
Yeah, no, he is.
And
I
I thought it was fine. Yeah,
I'll put replacement for Marcus.
he plays it well. He fulfills the role.
You also get Mads Mikkelsen.
Do
What was your thoughts on Mads Mikkelsen? I tell you what was your thoughts on this scene? We'll start early. What did you think of him? Like initial thoughts?
honestly thought he was very background.
Yeah.
He didn't catch us. You could obviously he was a villain. He was with the Nazis, of course. But maybe it was the Clark Kent effect, where he's just in his suit with his nice hair and his glasses, and he just blends in, and we don't even pay attention to him too much. And maybe that's a compliment to the plot. But I just thought he was an absolute B-list villain at the start. I didn't think much of him, to be honest. Very, very, very unmemorable, very forgettable.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think he's good at playing that kind of sneaky villain, like the one you would least expect. And obviously, I knew he was the main villain because I'd seen the poster and the trailer and stuff, and he was like the guy.
I almost got the impression he was like didn't want to be a Nazi, and that kind of might play off later as we go through it. But he didn't seem to be fully invested in it.
He had his research, and that's what he wanted, wasn't it? It was like, look, fucking, I want this thing. Here's my MacGuffin, and he explains what the MacGuffin was. Yes.
Yeah, he does, which is nice because I needed that because I don't know if that's a real artifact or
No, I didn't.
legend, but I'm glad he exposed that.
How far in the film do you think we were?
Not very far.
We're 12,
because
12 minutes.
Yeah, because we'll break, which is what we're talking about earlier. We'll go from Nazis to familiarity to Christianity to it being fake and it not being real, and the spear, this final spear, not being the trope that we're looking for. Indiana Jones has dipped his tootsies in different things, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. But we know that when he sticks with religion and Christianity in particular, probably because of the Steven Spielberg, element and and Judaism and Nazis, but it changes it straight away. But I was cool with it. I was actually all right. It didn't change the freaking aliens, which I thought
it
was
didn't.
good.
It kind of went back to Temple of Doom in a good way, like of saying there's other religions. Like Christianity's not the only one. Like there is like people who believes in math. Like you know what I mean? here's the guy. I liked it. I liked the MacGuffin. Yeah. Again, I thought this flashback was fine. It was bordering on being too long.
You were getting invested, and you just needed that little bit of history of what the movie's going to be about.
Yeah, that's all I needed. And I think that it was a bit too long. Then we see Mads Mikkelsen die.
Yeah, I wrote something about this. So he gets his face absolutely smashed in by a sign. Yeah.
Put a pin in it because like this part, right? I couldn't get out of my head because I had theories all the way through this film.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's fucking time traveling going on. There's crazy shit gonna happen. And yeah, we'll get into it because I want to get. I've got notes later where I've got like theory 1, theory 2, like, and like none of them pay off at all. And I was like, all right.
No, I was waiting for the exact same thing. We're on the same because like that. It looks like a pretty certain death.
Fucking 100%. The speed he hits it. I was like, he's fucking dead. Like, how are we gonna explain this?
That guy should be dead.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. Or at the very bare minimum, fucked up beyond repair.
Yeah, so like there was a point where we're so half his face when in the like later scene. I was like, oh, he's gonna turn. He's gonna be like fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
Or he's gonna have like scars from like plastic surgery, but like really bad scars. He's gonna look like a proper villain. Like that could have been his arc. Like I'd have been all for it. But he comes out unscathed.
He does, and more handsome than ever.
Yeah,
I would say.
Gets a bit of grin.
Mad. Yeah.
Had a few problems with that tail end of that flashback.
But all in all,
decent, positive.
Decent. Yeah.
Better than the last one.
Much better than the last one. Yeah. So then we'll go to present era or whatever year this movie's set in, where Indy's now a much older gentleman.
I've put theory 1 here. All right. Theory 1. We see Indiana Jones pretty much bollock naked, right? And he looks fucking horrendous. And I thought the film was being really clever by going, look, right, you can either have the shit CGI or you can look at this old man. What do you want? And I was like, yeah, I want the CGI back. Like, fucking gives it. And I thought that meant that we're going to keep showing the CGI and I wasn't going to be allowed to complain because they would keep showing us the old man with his top off.
Right. So your choices are CGI, fully clothed man, or real life naked man.
Naked old man with like
Naked old man.
fucking. He looked
Liver spots
awful.
and wrinkles.
He looked awful. Like he looked really haggard, and I was like, "Oh,
Yes.
like this is really clever. Like well done. Like you've got us because there's no way I want the old man."
It does immediately present old and frail Indiana Jones. And you're right. Harrison Ford's seen better days. I don't know if any of that was made worse, or if he'd done a Christian Bale and he'd put on some weight or something for the role. But yeah, he looked very flat, didn't he? Everything was quite deflated. Bless him.
Aye. So talk us through the setting then.
We're shown his. Well, I picked up on straight away. We're shown little glimpses of photos, pictures on the wall. I'm pretty sure a painting from his dad was there as well. And we're getting all these little hints. And also you're thinking, well, the last movie ended with a happy ending, with marriage, with love, and Indiana Jones still being top dog. And now, like you said, we've got him sitting there, also getting proper abuse of his neighbours. He turned into the angry neighbour, which I thought which is a little weird dynamic.
Yeah.
And we see a picture of his son in an army uniform, and straight away I don't know, well, spoilers, but I was like, he's dead. That kid's dead, which I thought was actually quite a brave move for a Disney movie.
I didn't pick up he was dead at this point. I had to be told.
I mean, let's look at the facts. Yeah, he's a depressed old lonely man with a picture of his son in an army outfit. How much more signifier did you need, Tom?
I needed to know that Mutt hadn't gone on an adventure to find his bike.
Yeah,
And
Mutt was still looking for his
That's
bike.
all it was. It was just like, Dad, I've got to go find my bike. She needs us. She's out there somewhere in Peru.
Yeah, but he puts you get the letter that says, divorce. So it's just laying out for you that his life is shit now. He hasn't got anybody. He puts the magnet over the picture of Marion as well, which I thought was just nice little things. Nice little things that just play to it, because you didn't need to have that, but that just gives you a little bit more of like playfulness with the audience as well. Like that adds a little bit of comedy. I think if you were, if there was an American audience sitting in the theater watching that, there'd probably be a few people chuckling away at that.
Yeah. I've put as well, he's got nothing to show for his adventures. Like, he came away with nothing, which is like, it's fucking sad, you know what I mean?
It is.
Cool. I didn't have much else on this scene, because like you say, he complains to his neighbour, and then we go to the classroom.
Yeah, and then we start trying to get back into familiarity, but with the contrast of his class in the original movies were absolutely honed in on him. They thought he was cool as fuck. They thought he was the best. They were closing their eyes saying, I love you on the eyelids. Even the lads were following him after the lessons and trying to ask more questions. And in this movie, this episode of his life, the class doesn't give a shit. They're totally blanking him. They don't care about anything. They're not bothered by him.
Yeah, I've put the same thing. Nobody's interested in Old Ford. In an Old Ford, sorry. Nobody cares about the past, only the future.
Interesting, Tom.
Interesting, because I was on the time travel train, baby. I was like, we're gonna fucking have some adventures in the past. Can't wait. Anyway, so yeah, and he's retiring.
He's retiring.
That's it. He's got the cake. We leave the school. We go to the cafe.
Yeah. Well, before that, let's talk about his retirement. All right.
Okay.
So already, Tom, for me, there's a subplot here of like trying to reject change. All right, and that's just reinforced throughout the movie, because he goes from trying to get the spear, the Christianity element, and then when the new little, I can't even remember the name of it, the
Crocodile?
Acafeteria or something.
Oh, the
giant-
actual name.
Yeah, the actual name.
Yeah, it's like the Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie, yeah. So he's tried to get the Poirot, but he's went for the Agatha Christie now instead. But he basically dismisses it. He's like, don't worry about that. It's fine. But then the little comic relief character, Basil, he's like all in. He's like, yeah, it's mint. Like, can't wait for this. And Indiana Jones doesn't really care about it. And then that idea of like rejecting change and just liking the familiarity is just repeated throughout this movie. So when we're talking about the retirement, it's done metaphorically and literally, Tom, throwing in some big words now. All right. So metaphorically and literally, he is rejecting change. So when it comes to his retirement, do you remember what the gift he was given was by his peers?
It's a watch. It's a clock. It's a clock.
A clock. Yeah, clock. And how much more could you be getting literal change than a constant reminder to this guy who doesn't want things to change, who just wants things to stay they are, than a clock that's literally showing him the time is passing. And what he does with that gift, with that heartfelt gift, Tom, fucking gives it gives it away at the first homeless guy he sees. Couldn't care less. He does not want to acknowledge that. And I think that's kind of repeated throughout, and we'll come back to a couple of those things as well as we go through. But I thought that was quite nice, and that's given me straight away that message of like, there is Indiana Jones here is rejecting that change, and that ties in nicely with the whole idea of the Dial of Destiny, the change, the time sort of travel element.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. That was a good breakdown. I didn't catch off of that. I think I was just watching it going, oh, he's retiring.
Oh, you cared about the naked man. That was what drew you in, yeah.
I was in theory mode at this point. I was like, fucking. So my next point, which we'll get to this calf, right? So Helena, I think, follows him or invites him to the calf. And there's a mention, and this is like the third time we've mentioned it, about the moon landing.
Yeah.
So I've like, fucking, here I am thinking, moon landing, alright, fair enough. We've got this point in time. Theory number 2 pops up, and I'm like, right, we're tethering us to this point now. This is like typical time travel stuff of, let's pepper some stuff in so they know exactly what fucking day it is. And that was kind of where my head was at this film, because I was like, oh, he argues with the neighbour, they're talking about the moon landing. There's a parade going on because of the moon landing. There's a fucking news article about the moon landing. I'm like, right, that is our point in time. That is the point we're going to have to come back to and circle back to. Doesn't fucking happen.
So that was his, like, tether. He could always go back.
Not just him, the audience as well. So let us know the point he had to come back to. So, like Back to the Future, where he goes back and then he comes back and he's like, oh, he checks the newspaper. It's like, we know what day it is because it's shown to us on the screen loads that the car, the date he's going from to the date he's going to. We're told explicitly this is the point he's got to get back to. That's where my head was at with this film. I was like, oh, we're on time travel 101 here.
That's good. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, but let me ask you this. Did he look happy about the moon landing? Most Americans liked the moon landing, I believe, back in the day. Did he look very happy about it?
Did he not say it was history happening?
Mm-hmm. And he's a big history guy.
Yeah.
But he fucking hated it because, Tom, he was rejecting change. Yeah, he was rejecting that idea of it. And also, like, it kind of signifies the end of his sort of adventures because the idea of, like, we've adventured everywhere. There's nowhere else to go. Now we're going to go space. We're going to adventure space. We're going to explore space. And that's kind of what he didn't like. Didn't want to accept that. He didn't want to be part of that.
He's an outdated concept.
He is. Much like the movie at this stage, but...
So then Helena comes in. What does he say to her when she's like introduced herself?
I've got no fucking idea. What does he say to her?
Whatever I did, I apologize.
Oh, yeah.
So this has put your pedo thing full circle because it's it's basically him going, look, fucking, I've done a lot of fucking stuff, right, that I'm gonna feel bad for. I don't give a shit. I'm fucking sorry. All right, move on. Like,
it was the 80s.
It was
Give me a break.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What did you think of the actress? Like, what did you think of the choice of actress? Did you know her out of anything?
I did not. That's the first time I've ever seen her face.
So I know her of a TV show called Fleabag on BBC, which is quite a raunchy show. It was, for me, a really weird choice for a Disney film, because she's a comedic actor. I don't know. I found it a weird choice for the acting bill.
But maybe they were saving some budget. but also maybe they were just looking for something totally different to subvert it. Because Indiana Jones is still the star of the show here, but we needed a female that we didn't want to. Well, I didn't know her. Maybe American audiences wouldn't have known her very much either.
I don't feel like they would have. No, like I feel like for a pull, like I mean, the last film you had Shia LaBeouf, which he wasn't great, but he was a pull. He was definitely a pull at the time because of Transformers and even Steven. So while this is happening, they're having a catch up. We also see Dr. Schmidt, played by Mads Mikkelsen. He's kind of bitter, but he's bitter about the war. He's not bitter. He's not so much bitter about Hitler. Like I think he comes across as resenting Hitler for losing the war, and blames him almost. And he seems almost kind of evil at this point. He's horrible to that like waiter guy for no reason.
He is, yeah, super dick.
Yeah. So that was a bit like.
Also looks totally fine. Like no disfigurement. No.
Yeah, nothing wrong with him. So immediately I'm like, he's a time traveler.
Yeah.
What? I mean, were you on the same boat as me? Yeah.
I thought there was going to be an explanation as to how he was just looking all crusty. Yeah.
Like there was two of them.
It never goes anywhere. That part of that element.
Nah, and I felt his character was so like up and down. I never felt his character was consistent in any way because 1 minute he was all like, "Oh, we're doing this. This is what we're doing." The next he was like, "I'm kind of scared about doing this, guys. Like, can someone give us a bit of backup yet?" So we're 31 minutes in, and then we explain the MacGuffin. So we explain the Agatha Christie and what it can do.
Yeah.
And instead of Indy going on a treasure hunt and inviting people, he's the one being invited.
So you think? I don't know, right? Because there's a couple of little throwaway lines in this movie that I was like, is that supposed to mean more than what I think it means? So she's saying like, oh, it's the Agatha Christie is in this river because you dropped it with my dad all those years ago. And Indiana Jones is like, no, like, what are you talking about? And then it's just stored away in the museum, if you remember.
Yeah.
So but then she also says like, oh, I knew you didn't destroy it. So like she's invited him on this adventure. What if he's fucking that old and senile, Tom? That he goes, yeah, great, let's go. And he's like diving in this river, like I fucking swear it was here. But meanwhile, it's back in New York in his little drawer. You are right though. She is like it is indicated that she's the adventurer here. She wants something out of it.
Yeah. And I put like, what's the crack with these characters? Is she going to be the new Mutt? Like, is that what we've got? Because I think this film works best on its buddy cop duos, like always has. They knew what you particularly loved about Temple of Doom and thought, we need to do that again.
Instead of a small Asian boy, we have a grown-up
Puerto Rican
woman.
boy.
Oh yeah, well we're doing.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, we're talking about different characters. Yeah.
No. She fulfills because it's the Puerto Rican boy is sidekicky, but he's not Indiana Jones sidekick. He's very much a C tier character in terms of Indiana Jones.
He's her short round.
He's her short round.
That's what I'm saying. Her character is based on Temple of Doom. Indy.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, even the origin story of him, where she says, yeah, it's literally almost word for word what Short Round's origin story is.
Right. So, do you want to talk about the sort of the next action scene, which I've labeled as Indy's treasure room?
Is this where he pulls out the?
He pulls
Destiny,
it out, yeah.
The dial, the half dial underneath his arrows.
The Agatha to the Christie.
The Agatha, yeah. And at first I'm like, it's really like upsetting when he's trying to escape, and he just looks like an absolute old man trying to get away. And I'm like, and even the chick, the police officer, she's like, calm down, sir. And he's like, like, and he just looks like an old man, like who's really panicked. And I did feel bad, but somehow, in typical Indiana Jones fashion, he manages to pull it off, and he gets away from everybody.
So did you notice as well? He tries one of his classic moves, and it just fucking fails. He looks frail as anything when he does it.
Which one's that?
So like he tries to like disarm and punch someone, and someone just
yeah.
Just grabs his hand and goes, "What are you doing?" Like pack it in. Also, the faculty gets killed.
Oh yeah. They just shoot them, don't they?
Yeah,
It's absolutely
so
cold blood.
at
Yeah.
this point I was like, fucking hell, that's dark, right? I'll come on to something later that's theory number 3. And then we get this black woman.
Yep. The cop.
And I was like, oh, she's quite an interesting character because I don't know if I'm hot and cold on her. Like, I don't know what to feel. So he gets outside, he hails an officer, and the officer just walks off. And I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, I thought that was going to be ending up like the cops were in on it.
Yeah, so did
Because
I, but he just
she was
walks off.
she was a cop, and I was like, oh, like they've just paid off all the cops, or all the cops in the area are not going to listen to this random raving old man because there's a copper there going like, don't worry about officer, I've got this. Like she's FBI, CIA, or whatever. But yeah, you're right. It just doesn't go anywhere.
Nah, it was a bit
It just
weird.
yeah, very strange. He did look. I mean, in the officer's defense, he did look like a crazy ass old man,
Yeah, but
just shouting.
he was a white man in America. They should have listened to him, like because
That's true.
people are doing that at the minute.
I think as well. I remember watching this, and shouldn't he have just said, "Excuse me, officer, that man's just shot 2 people. Can you please sort it out? I'm gonna run away."
So
Like, didn't even say that.
no, he didn't. He just gets on a horse,
Just gets on a horse.
which is
But
classic.
I'm glad you mentioned the horse because I've wrote an important line down here, which is he gets on the horse, and what does the villain get on?
Is it a camel?
Not a camel.
All right.
It's not Mummy.
What is it then?
Tick, 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 tick. It is a bike. He gets on a bike.
Oh, like a motorbike.
Like a motorbike, yeah.
Is it the motorbike from Peru?
It's not the motorbike. It could very well be, but I don't believe it is. That could be a great throwback. But we've got this again, this repeated concept of change, and he's on one of the oldest forms of fucking transport we have, which is a horse, riding away on a horse, and he's being chased and pursued by a guy on a motorbike, which is that same element of
Yeah, it is. Fucking
objective
bravo,
change.
bravo.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting here just having a good time stuffing my face, and you're like, fucking hell, the themes!
Yeah, the subplots, Tom, are coming through. But yeah, that's like, obviously I was looking for it because that was my, like, you were looking for the time travel elements, and I was looking for these concepts of change. Yeah, you've got a few more to go, and I've got a couple more of these as well, so we'll bounce off each other. But yeah, he's literally trying to run away on a horse, fucking from change, from the future, essentially, on moon landing day as well.
Fucking hell, maybe James Mangold's a really good director, you know what I mean? I never thought of that. Then we find out Mutt's dead.
Yeah.
And like it's explicitly said that he's dead, and I'm like, oh fuck, like, and I thought the same as you. I thought that's really dark for Disney to just say this character's dead. Like, I think it would have been better if they just didn't mention him, because I was like, oh, like, one, you remind us of the previous film, and two, now you've got us like thinking, do I care about Mutt being dead?
Yeah, there's a couple of things with it. Like, is it the franchise just acknowledging the fact that Mutt was a mistake? They should never have fucking done it. But also, they should never have had him. We're just gonna kill that guy. Forget about him. But also, I did think, and this did cross my mind, of like, they asked Indiana Jones, "What are you gonna do? Like, what if you could change the course of history? What would you do?" And he says, "I'd go back and convince my son."
Yeah, right. Like, so fucking, why did I not write this down? Theory number 3: we're putting fucking plot points in for him to change. Yeah. I honestly thought Mutt was gonna show up because I thought he's gonna fucking go and save him. It's gonna happen.
But yeah, they did kill him off, and you're right. I think it's quite a bold move. Like, they could have just probably said, like, oh, he's gone. He's like, he hates us. Like, you know, like, he's abandoned the family. Like, and it would have probably served the same purpose all in all, and not have to kill him off. But with how shit the character was and how really bad the movie was, really,
it's like weird fan service, you know, thing. Like, because the fans would have screamed out like, you should have never done that character. So Disney's like appeased the fans by like sacrificing this character.
Yeah, for the greater good.
For the greater good. Then what happens?
We get. I hope you're going to say this. We'll get a flight montage. Still nice to have the plane montage of the map.
Yeah, which again, if they've done that, why have they not done the graphic match?
I've not done the graphic match. Exactly.
I mean, if you're putting like graphics in, they're your two main ones, surely. And then you want to talk about the flashback?
Well, so Basil's portrayed by Indy and his daughter as like going fucking mental. Julali. And yet, in the flashback, he didn't really seem that mental to me. He did
No, he
seem
seemed
very
compass mentis.
Yeah, he was very eccentric and he was very focused on it. But he was okay. Like he was also fucking right as well,
Yeah, he
which is the
was.
main thing. He didn't play crazy. He didn't play over the top crazy.
No,
Which
he was like the guy out of fucking Lord of the Rings. Like he's like, destroy it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that was the right thing to do.
yeah. But then we'll get the young wombat. We'll get the CGI again. Bit more darkness, which is
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Lended itself quite well to that.
I did put was this scene needed. Like I feel like this could have been explained in the cast.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
feel like we could have just went, oh, like your dad was crazy. He asked us to destroy it. I didn't. It belonged
Yep.
it belonged in a museum.
And then he finds the auction when we're introduced to the new short round.
Yeah, we
as
go to
well.
Morocco. Indy and Schmidt re-meet. And for me, I've wrote this like verbatim, like hints at reveal, doesn't recognize each other. This was a weird interaction because Schmidt either pretends not to recognize them or just doesn't recognize them.
That bang to the head will do that to you.
Well, this is where I was like, oh, it's two people. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
I jump between time traveler and two people, like, constantly. I was, it's two people, time traveler, two people, time traveler. Like, I couldn't figure out what it was. Turns out they were both wrong. Like, he was just a fucking guy who can survive being hit in the face by a pool at like 80 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So as you said, Helena's got her own short round. How did you find this short round?
Well, like I said, C list. I've got nothing bad to say, but I've also got nothing good to say either. They were just sort of there. They didn't really. I didn't invest. The character didn't have enough uniqueness to us for us to actually enjoy them. Enjoy the. There was no development. We got the whole he's pretending to fly a plane, like, which is obviously a bit of foreshadowing.
So that, right, I feel like that was a blink and you miss it fucking plug there.
Yeah.
Because I had to remember how he knew how he could think of playing. 'Cause he mentions it later. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I went, oh yeah, there was that like really short, like 5 second scene where he's pretending to fly a plane. So Indy doesn't speak Moroccan. Don't know if you picked that up.
I didn't, but you love ragging on Indiana Jones
Oh,
and his
but
potential
tell you
racism.
what, he can speak ancient Greek and math.
You can speak it, I can. I.
Like he can't speak fucking Moroccan though.
Yeah.
And then I put here because I forgot the plot. Like at this point, I kind of forgot what we're running away from. I put, why does Indy want the dial back? And I went, oh yeah, he's on trial for murder. Like, like I completely forgot where we were.
It's interesting you wrote that, right? Because I've wrote, like, we're at the auction, where she's auctioning it off, and I've said, what's her plan? Like, is she genuinely trying to sell it, or
I
is
think
she
so. She just wants the
like
dollar, doesn't she? She's not asked. That was her.
like that?
That was her push.
Yeah,
She just wanted money.
I was confused because, like I said, I wrote down what was her plan. I was like, does she want to fucking time travel or not? Like, do you just want $100,000?
She's been in his storeroom. All the artifacts in there, she could probably sell for a mint.
Yeah. He
Um,
hands her a tray of arrowheads.
yeah.
Yeah, could have pocketed some of them.
So I have put, it's here where I feel like the plot is spinning its wheels. And, like, there's the car chase. I've not wrote anything about the car chase. I didn't find any of it interesting. Like, I didn't find anything to write. It was just a car chase. Like, it was very by the numbers. There was nothing that wowed us or anything like that.
It was a putt chase, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
it is what it set out to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull where the ending was terrible or anything like that. It was just a chase. So for me, there was nothing to pick apart. I'm not going to go into it unless you've got anything.
No. Just I've just wrote putt chase. Well, originally I wrote tup chase, but that's not what they're called. They're called puts.
So the Nazis get taken back on a plane, but no one's in handcuffs. So the black woman comes back into it. And she's like, fucking, you're going back. Like, you've skipped out on meeting the president. Like, you fucked you. You're in big trouble. And then she gets killed.
Yeah, she dies far too quick.
And I was like, oh, theory number 4. The teachers, this woman and Antonio Banderas are going to be saved through time travel.
Yeah, I did think that too.
And I was like, we're setting it up, baby. Time travel 101. And it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I thought the same. I thought like she seemed like a really strong character
Yeah.
to just get killed.
And this is where I put Jürgen Voller, twins. So then we'll go to Greece, right, and meet Antonio Banderas.
We do. Is that the name that you were
cameo.
saying was?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I had no idea he was in this movie until he started talking, and I was like, "Holy shit, it's Puss in Boots."
Puss in Boots. So I said before, feels like the plot is spinning its wheels. This fucking bit, right? All of this section here, I was like, fuck me, like you could have just haven't found it in fucking like at the auction. I didn't need this dive. I thought it was shit.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored, but I was like, oh, like we're wasting time. Like you're wasting my time here.
You know what it is? I agree. I haven't wrote down a lot for this, but there's one thing I do want to mention. Now that you've said it and you've just reminded us, is this is the closest we get to snakes.
Yeah, it's water snakes, and I've wrote that.
Eels.
I've wrote eels, the snakes of the sea.
Disappointing.
Oh, you know what really fucked us off about this scene, right? Is how well the dive went. So we get a brief from Antonio Banderas. He's telling us all the things that can go wrong, and I'm like, these are all gonna go wrong because this is how Indiana Jones works. Like, don't cross your fucking things. That's gonna go wrong. Don't come up too fast. Someone's gonna fuck that up. Don't fucking touch the eels. Someone's gonna fuck that up. So I was like, these are the 3 points I'm gonna be looking out for as an audience member. No one crosses the fucking streams. No one comes up too fast. Indy gets somewhat attacked by some eels, but not fucking scathed by it. I'm thinking about it now, it's that expectation. Setting expectation, not fulfilling it. But I feel like it was doing that with the time travel as well. Like I was being blue balls, like really not in a good way. Because I was like, no, like I love time travel. I want this to happen. Like this isn't a trope where I'm like, oh, that's gonna happen. I was like, oh, mint, we're doing this. Like I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what you've got to bring to the time travel the table, or we're doing a heist. I can't wait to see what you bring to the heist table. Where it's like, nah, we're not doing it.
Yeah, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
Pretty much.
It goes nowhere. Yeah,
you're
right.
It goes, to put it right, swimmingly, which is annoying.
Nice.
So before they go on the dives, we are fucking mucking about this scene because it's so weirdly put together. Indy says he doesn't believe in magic, but he says he's seen things.
Yeah. I don't believe in magic, but a few times I've seen things that I can't explain. That's the line. I've brought that down.
Mutt enlisted and died.
Yep.
We get that. I put Harrison Ford as a shift of acting here. It's alright. He seems generally like upset and like grieving.
We'll get serious Ford.
We'll get a Ford Mustang.
Is that the only Ford you know? Because it's probably the only Ford. Ford Focus. He's Ford Focused. He's Ford Focused.
Yeah.
There we go. There's the line.
So yeah, we do the heist. We come up and the fucking Germans are there. They're ready to pounce. I've put Mads as a really good cartoonish villain. I find him like quite Dick Dastardly. Is Dick Dastardly the guy out of the fucking Wacky Razors?
He is, yes, and Catch the Pigeon.
Yeah,
as well.
That's what I find Mads as a villain. And like,
you know what it is? Like that is such a good fucking comparison because you're right. Like he is.
I was all for it though because I was like, he's a Nazi. Like fucking yeah. Like that's what I expect from it. Like there.
But it's his own. Looking at it from an outside perspective, it's his own sort of hubris because he's sort of like so confident in himself and so like he just hands her the stuff like yeah, like here's some money. Just tell me what I need. And just double crossing him like very very Dick Dastardly, like you say.
Yeah, so again, I've put like it's at this point I think all the dying characters will be brought back. Mason, Antonio, teachers, because like they're just killing people off.
Yeah, but there's a like well you've jumped to Antonio Banderas being dead, which was a shock.
Yeah, it was.
They also when they escape, there's not much to talk about. There's a little bit with dynamite, escape, everything's good, and then. The new short round and Wombat are like laughing and like, wait, we got away, haha, it's all great. And then Indiana Jones is like, my friend was murdered.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh yeah, it fucking was.
That did
like,
happen.
Yeah, and like that was like a bit like, and the both of them were like, oh shit, yeah, like that did happen.
So they're in the boat, as you said, and he kind of kicks off with Helena. And then they kind of do some puzzle, and it's math. I've put there's too many MacGuffins. There's like too many artifacts, too many things. I feel like I was with it when it was 2 pieces of dial, but now I've got a fucking like bit of wax that's melted, and I've got to fucking
Yeah.
decipher shit. I was like, oh, like I would have liked it if the dial was just there.
I mean, I don't know if that's like, well, like it's what again. What we don't do is we don't delve into too much research into different things. Like we don't digest books for this because we're just talking about the canon of the movies and my limited knowledge of Archimedes and jumping out of the bath and saying Eureka. I don't know if there's a legend of some sort of dial he made or anything like that.
No idea.
Just to reinforce your point, it goes a step further because I don't know. You might have to. Maybe you picked up on this and I didn't. But they talk about the 2 bits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, when they get the 2 bits, and put them together, and then Mads Mikkelsen's character pulls out a necklace, which seems to be like the key for it, and I'm like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, like I said, too many MacGuffins.
Yeah, like there's I would have been like, if I was Indiana Jones, I would have found those 2 bits and be like, mint, now what? Like they don't do anything, and then I would have had to fucking research this fucking necklace that we needed apparently this whole time.
Yeah. And then what happens? Where do we go?
No, where do we go, Tom?
Go to a fucking tomb?
Templar, yeah. Well, they kind of do. This time, though, they go up.
Oh, yeah, the climb. The climb
How
to the tomb. Yeah, it's cricket.
Climb to the tomb. Change.
I have put retreading all ground, Temple of Doom. We mentioned the voodoo blood.
He does mention, he mentions drinking it.
So what I want to know, right? I think that everyone that comes into this franchise, and I think Steven Spielberg as well, has a soft spot for Temple of Doom, because I think Temple of Doom is the film that gets mentioned the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the black horse or black sheep that people love but are scared to admit it. But
it's interesting you say that as well, because I picked up on that as well. And he talks about earlier on. He says like, I've seen things I can't explain. Never mentions fucking aliens, but when he has to talk about what he's done, you know, he talks about like, oh, I've drank some blood.
Yeah.
And I've seen voodoo.
That's all he
like
mentions. Yeah.
That's your trump card. You're not going to talk about the fucking the fucking ark or like anything else.
The fucking Holy Grail.
Holy Grail, yeah. Like you're potentially immortal to a degree. Who knows? But yeah, like I think that was probably as well. Like talking of canon, you know, we'll have to acknowledge that other film existed because there's been reference to it with characters that are dead now. You could ignore Kingdom of the Crystal Soul and you just know that Indiana Jones married and also had a kid who's now dead.
Yeah,
That's pretty much all you need to know, and then you're up to speed with this movie and you can be fully invested. But it could easily have talked about, you know, I've seen freaking dimension travel and beings and things like that, which would have tied in pretty closely to time travel. But it doesn't. He feels the need to talk about drinking the blood and voodoo and things like that. So it's like it's reinforcing those good movies, those good tropes of Indiana Jones.
Yeah. So we get Teddy's origin story as well. Did you know he's called Teddy?
I had no idea.
I didn't know that he was called Teddy until 2 seconds ago, because I was like, who the fuck's Teddy? When I'm looking at my notes, I was like, who's this person I'm talking about? Because I'd wrote Teddy, same origin as SR. I'm like, who the fuck's SR? Like, what are these notes? So Teddy's got the same origin as Short Round, like, step to step.
Yeah.
They don't mention Short Round. Why does, like, Indy not say, like, oh, I knew a kid like that?
What year did Everything Everywhere All at Once come out? Was that last year? Was that 2024?
2022.
20? Was it that long ago?
Yeah,
Jesus
it was
Christ.
that long ago.
Why the fuck didn't like obviously scheduling conflicts?
Why not bring him in?
Why on earth didn't they get him in? No, fuck me. Like I was secretly hoping that he was going to make an appearance.
Me too.
Like,
Me too. I thought that there was going to be like you said, like young versus old. Have the new short round versus the old short round. Like I don't know. Like have them fucking banter. And he goes, listen to Dr. Jones. Like something like that. Like unbelievable cherry on the icing on the cake, cherry on the pie. Like fuck me.
And it would have absolutely catapulted this up there again because it
100%.
would have
Yeah.
got fans in 10 times over.
Like I said, like as much as I've got my gripes with Temple of Doom, I fucking loved Short Round. Like he was the best part of that film. So we've got a fucking puzzle.
Puzzle in a puzzle in a puzzle. Yeah.
It's just water displacement, which like it's not clever. I know if my fat ass gets in a bath, it's gonna fucking go up. I didn't really find it a thing. There was poison meth, but they seemed to be breathing okay, kind of.
Yeah. They seemed very like panicked at first, and then super chill
Yeah,
a second later.
It's all good. Don't worry about it. I thought it's a one and done. Like this water displacement because once you've done it, the water's gone. It's not like it refills for the next person. What did you think of the temple in general?
I wasn't there for the temple.
Yeah, it was quick, isn't it? It was done in minutes. It wasn't like there was no room for it to breathe.
Yeah, they had the animals, bugs again, bit underwhelming, underselling, but I'm not like I say I'm not here. Like I've from the start of the movie, this was like it's Indiana Jones, but like I'm expecting something different because there's no graphic match. There's no it's on the track, it's in the vein, but do I feel like it's all the same? No. So like it would have been nice to have a good temple scene, but I don't think this was a bad temple scene. I think it was just
It's just scene, wasn't it?
just a temple scene.
You know
Like
what it
didn't
is?
really do
I
much.
think that's probably the theme of this film. It's just things. Like it
Mm.
is just things put together well, but it's not like anything that's gonna wow you. It's just a generic film. So the kid kills the big guy as well, and I was like, oh, like I was hoping for a boss battle. Doesn't happen. Kid just drowns him. And it's like, you dead, bro.
What a fucking way to go as
Yeah,
well. Like
awful.
Jesus.
So we get the MacGuffin. The MacGuffin works. I've put theory number 5. Vola is a time traveler. So I'm back on the time traveler theory.
Yep.
And then, right, fuck me. My head's spinning at this point. Because he reveals his grand plan. What's his grand plan?
To go back to World War II time.
Yeah.
And do nothing but just take over as the German leader, I think.
So I put, hold up, are we fucking going back in time to kill Hitler? Are we doing the thing that everyone talks about in time travel? This is going to pay off everything. And then I put, fucking hold on times 2. Is Indy going to go back in time and save Hitler from being killed? This could be wild.
But you were fucking well off the mark.
I was well off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, like fucking this is gonna be like the payoff that I've been waiting for. Like the time traveling's gonna happen, he's gonna go back in time, he's gonna have to save Hitler because he knows that if he changes the past, it will fuck everything else up.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
That's such a that's not a bad idea, but that is very brave for Disney. Like they ain't touching that with a barge pole either.
And then we get a Star Wars engine sound, we get the whoop, 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 whoop,
We do.
Get
a lot of Star Warsy music, which is why I was really surprised that you said it won nomination for best music, best original soundtrack.
I did have in the flashback that it sounded very episode 1 again.
Yep, agreed.
Apart from that, I didn't really pick up any music cues, so I don't know if I slept on some of them.
Just the typical John Williams.
Yeah.
You know, that just you hear it time and time again.
And surely he's not in the studio for this, right? He's not fucking sitting in the studio anymore at this point.
Is he just supervising?
If that, he's probably in a fucking lazy Susan just going, meh.
It does feel like, right, John Williams might have just had a fucking killer weekend in the 80s where he just made all these fucking songs.
It is.
And then went, fucking use that again. Use that again.
I fucking told you from the first fucking episode I told you this. I don't think he's as good as people make out. I think he's lazy. And I think he fucking got light in a bottle and he just remixes it. As all great artists do. So let's go to Act 3. The Past.
Yeah, which was foreshadowed when we had a phoenix or dragon or eagle or something with propellers.
So again, at this point I'm like, fucking, we're going to do some time hopping here. Like, this last bit is going to be like us all over the place. It's going to be Bill and Ted. It's going to be Boogalicious.
Yeah.
It was just... You know what it is? It was still wild. I wrote this as wild. But I felt like that it could have been done better.
So the plan is to go back to Hitler time, yeah?
Yep.
And he's just like, I mean, I don't know the intricacies of how Archimedes' little dial works, but Mads' character is pretty confident that he's going to arrive in Normandy
Yep.
or wherever in World War II just by his little dial flying through that cloud.
So this is kind of the bit where I got a bit like confused, and I was like, again, for an Indiana Jones film, I shouldn't be confused. I should know what the crack is. I should know what we're doing. So we go through the cloud, we come out, and we're in like fucking 1033 BC or whenever we are.
Yeah.
And there's a battle going on, and I was like, all right, okay then, this is wild. And Agamemnes is there,
Yeah.
and there's some Romans there,
Yeah.
and then they managed to take down the planes, which I feel was a bit like, who's flying this fucking plane?
Well, I've wrote one line about this as well, which is the fucking one that just he opens the door and whips out his pistol and starts shooting.
Yeah.
And it's like, how fucking thick is this guy? Where he's shooting his pistol with what, maybe 10 rounds at the most or whatever? Like, and there's 40,000 Romans and ships below you, pal. Like, what are you fucking think? What was your plan there? Like, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But also, Indiana Jones at this point, let's just circle back for a second, his foot has been shot. And he's been shot and he's still fucking kicking about.
Yeah, you're right. He has been shot, and like, he seems to kind of like be a bit like a roller coaster. One minute he's fine, the next he's like, "Oh shit, yeah, I've been shot," and then it's like, "Actually, I'm alright. You know, I think I might pull through."
Yeah, I'm gonna be fine.
I did know that he's like amazed by this history, and I love that. I did love that for the character. I was like, you know, this is your fucking wet dream now. Like, you are in history. You're here. You've seen it happen. Like, this is what you've always studied about. And I guess goes back to your point. He is no longer irrelevant. He's quite like knowledgeable now.
Well, he was at this bit, right, and he's being shot, and he's basically just saying, like, just let us go, let us stay.
Yeah.
I'll stay in the past. So I was of two minds about this point. I was like, how do I think this movie is actually going to end? And also, how do I want it to end? Like, how do I want Indiana Jones to bow out? Do I want him to bow out being in the past? Or do I want him to be like, come back and like live out his days and like live, just not die? Do I want Indiana Jones not to die? Because if you leave him in the past, one way or another, he's dead.
Well, what's good is she says like, you will not survive because they do not have the medicine you need. And like, I was like, because I thought that at one point, I thought, you're not going to live long. Yeah, you realize that. But I thought, oh, they'll cover that up with a plot armor. But no, she acknowledges that, which I liked. So what was your overall thought then? Did you want him to stay in the past, or were you like, nah, leave?
In my head, I was like, right, well, he's in the past and he's got the dial. So I was like, is he going to stay in the past? She's going to go back to the future, but then she's going to like, it's basically going to be a montage of her like, okay, I'm going to be a archaeologist now, and she's going to discover shit and then see little traces of him throughout history. So like, that was going to be how it was going to end. Like I said, hieroglyphic and Indiana Jones on the walls and shit. I was leaning towards that, to be honest.
So was I. I was all for Indy staying. But I don't, and this is such a throwaway bit, I don't know if you caught it. The dial can only travel to one place. Did you catch that?
Got it?
So that was the point. Fucking, she says he's made this dial to only get you to come here and help him. That's all that dial can do. It can point you to a fish, it'll take you to that time.
So that's why it didn't work?
That's why it didn't work, and it sent them to exactly next. I was like, that's a bit coincidental that the fucking went there, isn't it? No, the dial will only take you to that point of time.
I didn't pick up on that, you know.
Like I said, it was so much of a throwaway line. I was like, that's why I said, yeah, I was quite confused because he's mentioned these continental drifts, and I was on board with that. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, fair enough. But then when Archimedes was like there, and I was like, this is a bit weird that like this is the time he's come to when the guy fucking like did this, like. All right, whatever, I'll suspend. But then, like, either they kind of cover that up by saying, no, like, that can only go, yeah. Again, this whole time travel, I was like, oh, like, this is cool that this has happened. I'm glad we went back in time. I'm glad they actually did it. But I was like, ugh, I was really hoping for more time travel. I was really hoping for more young Indy. I was really hoping for him to save Antonio Banderas, Mason, and the teachers and clear his name. Because how did his name get cleared in the end? Like, because all them Nazis are in the past.
I thought that as well. So like he's on trial. He's like on sorry. There's a manhunt for murder, right? And then he just wakes up back in the present, like just in his own apartment in New York, like where it all fucking went off. And she just turned up with him,
Yeah.
like, no, look, he was shot too. Like, is that his proof? Like, but also like he's left a trail of death, like in Greece, in
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all these other countries, like, and they're just fine about it. No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
So yeah, I was all for Indy staying in the past. I thought it would have been a
Yeah.
good end. I thought like that for me would say like, oh, this it's done. If you do another Indiana Jones film now, it can't be him. It has to be someone else.
Yeah, I'm not a one for like people surviving in movies either. Like I'm happy. Like if they die at the end of the movie, like I'm usually alright with it. I'm like cool. Like fine.
I think a lot of films are scared to do that now though.
Yeah,
I think
but
that
I don't think I'd be too happy if Indiana Jones died. You know.
he died in the sense he was left in the past and he's definitely dead. Like he is dead. You
Yeah,
can't
that's fine. Yeah.
survive time. Then I'd have been fine with it. But if he'd been fucking shot like a chump and died, I'd be like, hold on, mate, you've been shot, you've been fucking hit, whipped, poisoned, and you're fucking getting shot by some B style Nazi. Like how? So we get our epilogue. We see Marion. So Marion is fourth on the list of this film.
Yeah, and just in it for like 2 minutes.
Did it for 2 minutes.
Right at the end.
Mads is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a fucking crime, that, like. We have the kiss and call back.
Yeah.
That's your film? Done?
Mm.
What you
Well, I'm gonna sign off with one thing for it, which is the message I've been talking about throughout the movie. And there was a line as well. I don't know what bit it is, but Mads says to Indy, I think he says, what have you got? Like, what have you got? What he said, what are you fighting for? And he says, a world that no longer cares about us. And that's that same subplot, this idea of rejecting change and not wanting change and not wanting the future, basically. But then that whole thing culminates with Indy obviously wants to stay in the literal past. He wants to stay in 300 BC, and he gets literally dragged back to reality by Wombat. But the final thing is Marion's back, and he's got his sort of he's got his happy ending at the end. He's got that change. He's got that thing that people have been fighting for him as well, which is quite nice. And I thought the ending was I was actually all right with it. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Just to go full circle when he pulls the magnet off of Marion's face on the fridge. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't, no.
Right at the end, a subtle thing. She opens the fridge and she's looking like for milk or something, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And he moves the magnet,
That's good.
which I thought was good. Again, just those little things that make it nice. But yeah, I thought it was a nice little ending. Like I was happy with it, all in all. I did, like I say, a bittersweet because I did want to see Indiana Jones traveling through time and fighting loads of things.
Yeah.
Being like
Fighting dinosaurs? Could you
fighting
imagine?
dinosaurs. Fuck yeah, it'd be cool. Fuck. If it did have those elements of like, fucking dinosaurs and or ancient Rome and all these time travel bits. Like I think you're playing to a more younger audience there, but we're not playing to the younger audience here. We're playing to fans of the franchise, and I think even on IMDb it doesn't say it because we've read that out, but on the Disney explanation for it or the Disney little narrative, what's the fucking word I'm looking for, Tom?
Synopsis?
Synopsis. That's it. Thank you. That's why you're the guy in the chair. So on that, I think it even says the final installment of the franchise, and it's like it's saying like this is the end. This is the end. This is how it ends. But it ends with him being old and happy and with his wife and retired, which is actually I think a decent way to sign off the franchise. Not as good as the Last Crusade, which I think we've established, which we thought before probably should have been the last. But I think it digs itself out the hole a little bit with this one. What was your thoughts on it?
Alright, so my overall thoughts are it's too long. You could get rid of some of this film quite easily. I would have liked more CGI Indy though. So get rid of some stuff but replace it with more young Indy. I was really looking forward to 1939, like that was fucking baited with that like so hard. It really pisses off. Indy should have stayed, and it would have killed the franchise permanently. There's like no chance of it ever coming back because end of the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. We're all happy. We're all fucking sorted. You know what I mean? Like that character's signed up. Now we're back in it. Like I don't see a world we don't have another Indiana Jones film, especially because the game's done well. Fucking Disney have already rang Microsoft and said we want more of them. So I just don't see this being the last one. Maybe the last one for Ford, but I don't see it being the last one.
I'll be surprised if we see another movie. Really surprised.
All right, well, we'll see where we are in 10 years.
Yeah. That's like soundbite that shit, man. Because we'll see.
So that put us both disappointed and different. Matt's character, how did he survive? Like I was still asking that at the end.
Yeah.
Felt like the film was working towards a bigger reveal of that character, and it just nothing happened with it. That's my final thoughts on the film. I wrote quite a bit for this one. So what's your ranking for?
Right. Well, we'll have for this. I'm gonna kind of talk about the whole franchise because obviously it's if ever's the time to do it, Tom, it's right now because of on the last movie or potentially the last movie. So we'll have some solid movies and we'll have some not so solid movies, and I'm gonna rank it in terms of comparing it to the others as well, and also how it fits in with the canon. So I think you can watch this movie and take enjoyment out of it without watching Kingdom at all. So, do I think that this movie is as bad as that movie? No, I don't. I actually quite enjoy this movie. I don't think it was as good as any of the other ones. I certainly don't think it was a top hitter. But I think it. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it improved on Kingdom that much that it's not as it's like it's like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down type of thing here. Like this was okay, but is it just okay because the other one was really that bad? So I've debated, Tom, about and based on how strong your opinion has been on certain scenes in this movie, I'm gonna put this as a sort of C minus, probably more D than anything. But I actually didn't hate this movie from start to finish, even though I did hate the no graphic match. That's probably the worst bit of this whole movie, the biggest injustice out of everything. But I finished Kingdom thinking, my God, I wish I didn't have to watch this movie for this franchise. But I don't feel the same about Dial of Destiny. I actually finished it thinking, you know what it is? That wasn't half bad.
Okay. I've sent you a picture on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Can you tell me what's on the picture?
It's your cock? No, it's not. It's you've put C minus.
C minus. We're actually
C minus.
in line with this shit. No, I was the same. I enjoyed the film. Like, I did come away thinking, like, oh, there's a lot of stuff I would have done differently. But it's not my fucking film, you know what I mean? Like, that's just things that I wanted to see. I think what's been done with the film's serviceable. I think it's very much that it's a new director on the film, so it's not going to feel like the old ones. But I think they've done it in a way where there is definitely breadcrumbs to make you remember what was good about this franchise. Yeah, no, I was C minus. I think it's an okay film. It's a good it's a good ending. I think that's the main thing I liked about it is it ends well. It doesn't end where it's like, oh well, what the fuck was the point of that? It ends where it's like, all right, fair enough. Like, yeah, it's final entry, hopefully.
I'm glad to agree because there's been a lot of episodes, and for our listeners, they can go back and judge for themselves. But there's been a lot of episodes where we've bucked heads and we've disagreed quite strongly about some of these films. But we seem to have married up nicely right at the end and come to an agreement, which is good. Yeah,
Sorry.
nice. That's a nice way to finish the Indiana
You know
Jones
it is.
franchise.
I'm glad we've actually got to a point where we both had the same fucking thing. That's made this a better film. As you'll see on screen now, you'll see our tier list for Indiana Jones as a franchise. So I'll quickly go through them. So the S rank, we don't have any of the films. We didn't feel that any of those films hit that kind of level. S for super. A for amazing. We had Raiders of the Lost Ark. In the B for brilliant, we had Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. we had Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And as you can see now, in C for Canny is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And then in the D for Disastrous or F for Fridge, we have an in-between slot which we've created specifically for this franchise with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So yeah, that's our rankings for this franchise, which is now closed the book on.
But if any of the listeners disagree or have their own opinion, please do drop it in the comments and share with us as well and let us know your thoughts on it, because even though that's our opinion, that isn't necessarily the opinion of everybody. There could be people out there, Tom, that think Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best movie. Like I said earlier, I think you could watch if you want to dive into Indiana Jones, or if you have like probably like a little bit like me, you haven't seen the newer ones or you haven't really paid attention to the newer ones, but I have now. You could watch the whole franchise and completely skip Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and still have a whale of a time.
That's a really good point, actually, because that's what we were talking about with this podcast. Is like we wanted to be able to say like what is worth your time. So no, like spot on for bringing that in. I definitely think the Kingdom is something you could skip and maybe read a blurb, or even like a 2-minute video on YouTube to catch you up just for the bits that are mentioned in Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, but final sign off for this movie, Tom, is a feature we like to call the Wilhelm Scream, which sounds a little bit like this. Thank you. And did you pick up on any Wilhelm screams in this movie, Tom?
I got one.
I only got one, which is reassuring.
And I could not tell you where it is.
So if we're putting this in a C rank, which is pretty respectable, you'd expect a Wilhelm scream to be at a quite cliche area, like a good typical expected area. So if you had to take a look at it, where would that be?
I was thinking about it as we were getting close to this. It's like, fuck, you're gonna ask me that question. I don't know what I'm gonna say. I am gonna assume it's in Act 3. Am I right?
Nope.
So I thought someone got thrown off a plane and that was the scream.
Not a plane.
A train?
A train.
Is it the first part of the film?
First part of the film.
Oh, okay. So with that then, I think it's gonna be about 15 minutes in.
Oh, you cut you a bit off, my friend. It's about 8 minutes and 40 seconds in.
Fuck!
He jumps, it's after the bike, he's on the bike with a questionable CGI face helmet situation, and he rides up to the train, jumps on the train, and then I think the Nazis see a bike, and they're like, what the fuck's that? And then he throws one of them off, and that's when we get the Wilhelm scream.
Well, it's always someone getting fallen off. The plane would have made sense as well, so if there was going to be a second one, that's what it should have been. Now that we've finished Indiana Jones, what's next for Canon Fodder Podcast? Hi everyone, Fodder Tom here from the future. Just to let you know that next week on the 20th of January, we'll be releasing a supplemental episode called Deleted Scenes. This episode itself was actually 3 hours long, and we've had to cut quite a bit of it out, but we didn't want to let any of that go to waste. So what we'll be doing is we'll be sharing some clips from that in a bonus episode. We'll also be sharing our segment, which I hope some people will enjoy and get involved in. It looks at 2024 movies. And it'll also reveal our next film, which will release on the 27th of January. So if you want to know what we're doing next, subscribe, stick around. And we'll reveal that on the 20th. Right, outro. Go for it. No, we're done.
What's your outro?
It's not yours.
I did the intro.
Is that how it works? I thought you did intro and outro.
I thought we took turns.
Oh, that's fine, I'll do it. Thanks for listening, everyone, to this episode of Canon Fodder Podcast. Like we've said, that's a wrap on the Indiana Jones franchise. Will we come back in 10 years' time? Potentially. If you enjoyed what you did listen to, we would love it if you would subscribe over on YouTube. We're also on Spotify, should you want to listen to us on your walks. But yeah, if you also want to get in touch with us via email, you can at thecanonfodderp, that's thecanonfodder with the letter P at gmail.com. We also have a Reddit, which is r/thecanonfodderpodcast, and we're also on TikTok at Canon Fodder Podcast. But like I said, we're still new to this game, so any comments or feedbacks, would love to hear from the community and would love for you to get involved. Any closing thoughts from you, Phil?
No. I hope you enjoyed the ride of Indiana Jones, and there's plenty more to come where that came from.
Yeah, spot on. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.